What's up, guys? This is Dominic D'Angelo of OneTrueSport.com, and we are back. It is Straight Talk with the Boss, Magnum TA Greg Gagne, and I am happy to have with me here both of them, Greg Gagne and Magnum TA.
How about that?
Hey, back in business, guys. Back in business. And Greg,
I look
you're
forward to seeing you both every week.
Right?
I talk to TA a lot on the phone, but I don't get to see him much.
That's it.
He's looking good too, man. Studley.
Yeah.
He's got and I sold one of his action figures for him down in Waterloo. I owe him a check now. I'm gonna just hang on to it for a while though.
The ladies in Waterloo were pining for Magnum TA, that's for sure.
Oh, they were. Unfortunately, I only had I had two figures, gave one to the museum. They got the first 6, the ultra ones for the museum. And then I thought I had 2 in the box, but there's only one that came in there. So sold it right away. Boom.
Man,
done.
They're great. Great looking figures. You actually did a couple interviews with my brother down there. You and Barbara Goodish, which was awesome. Man, like I was telling you on the phone how you guys barely scratched the surface. We got to get her on the show and chat a little bit.
Yeah, she's really good.
Yeah.
Her and Charlie Thez. We did an hour kind of seminar on Power Town.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted at 10 o'clock. I get down there about 5 to 10. There's only 3 people there, and I'm going, oh my God. Well, before the doors opened, they came flooding in. They were standing in there. And I started the presentation about, the ultras and the first 6 that we put out. And all of a sudden, Charlie gets up, comes walking up, sits down. Charlie Thez, she took over. She did about 10 minutes of hard selling. And then Barb jumped up. She came up for about another 10 or 15. And it was phenomenal. When it was over, we sold. They each had 20 action figures. I had 20 of them. Boom, they were all gone, but 1 of each.
I believe it. You know what? It's all those figures, the Series 1 figures look amazing. It's just like, and we were talking about it too, how Bruiser looks amazing, and Barbara was talking about it. I got him right behind me. There's a bit of a glare on him, but that display only figures so cool.
There's kind of a glare on him. Look at that, TA. Boy, he's really promoting them well.
I've
got them covered up here, but they're back here.
I literally
don't show them to anybody. Whatever you do.
I literally moved him over here because I was like, Greg's gonna give me shit if I have him back over here. I was like,
how did you do in that play?
Sure enough, I did it. You gave me shit.
Were you hiding behind something the whole time?
No.
Like you're hiding our action figures?
No.
Holy balls!
I can put him in front of my face all the time. If you want that.
Well, there you go.
Check it out, guys.
Yeah.
Are these still available on the wrestling collection? The display only ones?
Yeah,
okay.
They are.
So, guys, you can still get one of these right now if you go to the wrestlingcollection.com. They're display only, but they look amazing. And I just display. You look at me. I'm displaying it.
That a baby.
Yep.
Put it behind your chair again so nobody can see it. That a baby. Good job. Dang
it, Greg. You want my blood? Take my blood. Hey, we got a lot to cover, though. A lot to cover today. Guys, we are live. CB's in the house. He says, what's up, Greg, Magnum, and Dom? Hope you're feeling good today. We are. I'm really hot right now, though. It's like no AC in my house. So, but I'm doing good, and we're all doing good. Greg is a Hall of Famer now, and I think we should probably lead off with that. Greg, how was that experience being in Waterloo? Such cool pictures were being taken, I saw. What a communal aspect it very felt, the vibe it seemed.
It was amazing. TA, how many years ago were you put in, TA?
Gosh, I think it's been probably 5-6 years.
Okay. And you got the Luthez Award?
Mm-hmm.
That's fantastic. And you really deserved it. It's quite an honor. It was more than I expected.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody was phenomenal. Some of the speeches got a little long. So when they came to me, my daughter, Gail, turns to me and says, now keep it short. I left out the 2 most important parts of the whole speech. And I'm not sleeping well since then.
What did you leave out?
Well, I was talking about, growing up with my dad, and we used to wrestle in the basement all the time. But prior to that, I want to talk about the first wrestling match she ever took me to.
Mm-hmm.
And it was down in Minneapolis Auditorium, and it was Kinji Shibuya and Mitsu Arakawa against the Kamelkov brothers, a Russian tag team. And I'm about 8 years old, and it was a war. It was a bloody mess. So after the matches, my dad takes me down the hallway where the locker rooms are, and I look in this first locker room, and there's Shibuya and Arakawa on the table, and Doc's sewing them up. And then we go down to the next one, and there's the two Kamelkovs on the table, and another doctor sewing them up. And I turned to my dad and I said, "Dad, I know one thing for sure." And he said, "What's that, son?" "I never want to be a wrestler."
Sure enough.
Yeah. And then I missed my closing part, and really ticks me off.
What was your closing part you missed?
Well, it was, what was hard was growing up and going into the business, and everybody, "Oh, you're following in your father's footsteps." And he told me, "Are you sure you want to do this? They're going to be hard on you. You're not, your size, you're not big enough. And everybody's going to take shots at you. And they're going to say you're following in your father's footsteps. Create your own footsteps."
Right.
And that's how I went in it. I finally created my own footsteps. And as a result, I'm now in the Hall of Fame.
Now the Hall of Famer.
And I missed that whole thing.
You told it here, though, Greg.
So I haven't slept too well.
Man. I'm sure you did great, though. We have your Hall of Fame speech. We recorded it for One True Sports, so we'll have to send you the link. Did you watch? Did you get a video of it at all?
No.
Okay, we'll send you the link, Greg, when we get it up. We're saving you for last.
That was my big moment. And then Tony Guerrero got up there, talked for probably an hour and a half.
My goodness, wow.
And you could barely hear him.
Oh.
And he started when he first started wrestling, I don't know, 1970 or whatever it was. And he finally got up to 1977. And that was about an hour, 15 minutes into it. And you could hardly hear him. The next morning he's at breakfast and he's talking. I said, "Tony, are you up to 1978 yet?"
I knew you were going to say something like
that. So he kind of shook his head and looked. Everybody in the place laughed. He was like the last one. He went on, and he would mumble like this, and nobody could hear him. And oh, God.
Oh, jeepers. That's a tough one.
Okay. Let's get TA up there talking.
Magnum, you were short because you were sick, right?
But I don't ever talk more than 10 minutes, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Because to Greg's point, it's just, there's a lot of people being recognized, and it's not like a contest to see who can one up somebody else's story, or you're auditioning for a part in a play or something, or unless it was like, I think when Kurt Angle did his Hall of Fame thing, he was auditioning for a spot on the WWE. So I guess there are circumstances where hamming it up is a big deal, but again, those things are special. To Greg's point, like that museum is so overwhelming to see all the people represented there, from amateur wrestling all the way through the origins of professional wrestling. It's just an amazing facility, and to just be part of it is kind of surreal, because it's the coolest brick and mortar wrestling museum that I'm aware of that's anywhere in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So to be part of that is really cool. And of course, in my case, Dan Gable was like just everything to me starting out in amateur. Even having my name associated with that building was that was a win-win. So.
Man, yeah, it looks like such a neat environment. I was so bummed I wasn't there. Marcus was telling me how cool it was. Same with Paul too. Just it's neat too, because it brings people from all different generations of that together.
Yeah, it really does.
And it's
Arn Anderson did a great job too.
That's what I hear too.
Nice, quick, to the point, really emotional, well spoken. Did a great job.
Funny dude too.
And most of them did, but
yeah,
he stood out, and Guerrero really stood out.
He rivaled Mr. T's Hall of Fame speech.
Oh, jeez. It was nice.
It's pretty cool though. It's Man, yeah. They already announced the dates for next year. I believe it's July 17th again and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to mark my
Jerry
calendar.
Briscoe wrote me a little note the other day, so hopefully I'm involved in that next year. They came up with another award, the Vern Gagne Training Award.
Yeah.
And I had to introduce that. It was to Tom Pritchard this year.
Mm-hmm.
So afterwards, I hope he doesn't get mad about this, but I talked to him about, geez, how you doing with your training? How do you do it? He says, well, I charge people and they come in and I give them like 10 weeks, 2 days a week. I said, 2 days a week? I said, we went 6 days a week, 6 hours a day. And we did that for 4 or 5 months.
I believe it.
He goes, really? And I said, yeah, really. And,
well, I know today too, the wrestling schools, they usually are. I think they're like 1 or 2 days a week now. It is.
Yeah,
it is.
It's hard to really get somebody
attuned to it
and ready to go into the ring and have a really good match, I think. But he's done a good job. I give him credit. He must do, for 2 hours twice a week. He's doing a heck of a job. He's turned out a lot of people. So he's got a system that works for him.
Yeah. It's all about money, though. I mean, they can't. Those kids can't afford to pay what it would take to be in a facility that many days a week, and it's not like your dad's circumstance where he had a thriving territory, and this thing is going to feed that eventually. Yeah. And you got a way to. It's not eating away at you. It's something that's going to become a value add. If you put that into days monetized, dollar today, I can't imagine what you would have to charge somebody to train them, 5-6 days a week. It'd be absolutely insane.
And
nobody would afford it.
Yeah. And Vern trained 144 wrestlers that way.
My goodness.
And never got a dime from him, but boy, he put a lot of them out. Our group, he sent Ric Flair right down to Charlotte. Of course, he never left there.
Yeah.
Ricky Steamboat was another one he sent there. Jim went to Kansas City. Actually, what they did with me, they put me on the ring truck.
Really?
Yeah. I'd drive the ring truck, referee, and put up the ring. So I go into Sioux Falls, South Dakota one day, and it's like 100 degrees. And I get there, and this George Gadasky, one of the other ring guy, he said, now when you get there, be sure you get some young guys to help. Get them free into the wrestling, and then tell them when the matches are over, they can start taking it down for you.
Hey.
Okay, so I got about 6 guys. They come in, they help me. And we get the ring up. It's 100 and some degrees, sweating like crazy. I referee all the matches. I go back in the locker room, and Dick Byers is there, Dr. X at that time. And he said, why don't you just relax and have a beer? He said, do you have guys help me? I said, yeah, they're out there, taking down the ring. He said, well, you'll be fine. So I had about 3 beers with him. He was the last guy. And then he got up and left. I walk out. There's nobody there, and the ring's still up.
Oh, no.
I got done at 6 in the morning.
Oh, my God.
I drove home from there. I got into Minneapolis, I don't know, about 10:30 or 11. And Wally Carbo calls me and says, hey, pal, you got to drive to Winnipeg with the ring today. I said, I haven't been to bed yet. I can't. There's no way. And this was my 3rd month of doing that. And that was kind of my last day.
My goodness.
Yeah. But, my dad wanted to learn the business from the ground up.
Right.
And we did. I did.
Well, did your dad, was he rougher on you than he was on the other students because of, you being
He was rough on all of us. We all got the same treatment.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We had Patera, Flair, Brunzell, the Iron Sheik, Bob Bruggers, and myself in our class.
That's quite the class.
But he trained everybody the same thing. He trained Larry Henning, Kurt Henning, Blackjack Mulligan, Blackjack Lanza, all the Andersons, Lars, Ole, and Gene.
Man.
Back, that's going back. And he'd have that damn ring set up there in the barn, and we all went through it. I wish TA could have gone through that one.
That's what our next project should be after we get all this Power Town stuff done, is graphic novel, like reimagined, Magnum in the AWA.
I wish he'd have been there, because he'd end up being a champion.
It'd been fun.
Yeah, man.
Until he got in the ring with me, then it'd have been all over.
Oh boy.
Yeah, he put me in that flying chicken wing.
I think you would have reversed it pretty quick and had me down.
Oh my goodness,
man. So we got
Yeah, maybe we talked about before. Where did you train?
Oh yeah, we talked. Mm-hmm.
Where did I train?
Yeah,
I trained in every little town all over Portland, or all over
right.
Washington and Oregon.
You never had a coach that really trained you then.
No,
you got who? Wait, who'd you get? Buzz Sawyer, didn't he? Buzz Sawyer.
Yeah, we worked out the ring one time.
Yeah,
him and I and Princess Victoria, and I soaked it all in about 2 hours. Off I went.
Did you pin the princess?
I think we went at 2 out of 3.
Was it a 45-minute Broadway?
Yeah. Did you go the full hour then?
Hey, Princess Victoria was in shape and could go. I mean, she's 5'10", and she was in amazing shape. And I mean, she knew her way around the ring, pretty darn well. I'm learning how to hit the ropes, take a tackle, give a tackle, get backdrop, give a backdrop. Just a crash course is not even the word for it. I was doing things that I didn't know the terminology for. And if you called a spot, you were really in big trouble, because I didn't have a clue what that terminology meant at all.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Holy smokes.
Man.
Well, wasn't another really, this is going to sound novice, but Sherry Martel, wasn't she a really good wrestler too? Mm-hmm. That's what I thought. I knew she had a pretty good reputation to be in the ring.
Yeah, she sure did.
Yeah.
She was a dandy boy. She could go.
Yeah.
She was tough too. She didn't put up with any crap from anybody. Great gal.
That's the way you got to handle yourself.
Yep.
Man.
That was my Sherry Martel story. The only time I was up in a bar, or an airport little bar or something, and she was going around grabbing all the guys and ripping the buttons all off their shirt. And I was on like a 5-day trip. I was on the last day down to my last shirt. And I saw what she was doing. And she came up and grabbed my shirt, and I grabbed her by both wrists. And I said, "Really nice to meet you, but this is not going to happen." she went, I said, "Nope."
She had a drink with you, didn't she?
I think we might have had a cocktail.
You're good.
Man.
Well, I was talking to Nikita Koloff, was down at the Hall of Fame, talking to him and how he got started, a lot like you did.
Oh yeah, his story and mine is very similar. I mean, they brought him in, shaved his head, made him a Russian, put him out there in the ring, had him, doing squash jobs for him, and he knew about nothing. And on top of that, he was kayfabing everybody and acting like he truly was a Russian.
Yeah.
And so, can you imagine, you talk about guys that work with the Road Warriors back in the day, at least, they could yell at you in English when Nikita would just take your head off. He didn't, he wasn't communicating with anybody. And, he did, he'd go out there and have a match, and they'd have Ivan and Don Cornell riding back with him at night, teaching him, telling him things, trying to learn the ropes. And that's why, my crowning achievement moment in the business for me was that best of 7 series that he and I had, because I was 6 years of experience, and he had about, at that point, I think he'd been in the business about a year and a half. And we worked a pretty long program and ended up in that best of 7 deal, and had a lot of 30, 45-minute matches that were really good. And he was an exceptional athlete, and great listener. But it's the first time as a baby face I found myself in that general type role in the match, to have to lead things and guide it along. And when you're in there with a 285-pound monster that can go in 3 steps to wide open and run over top of Braun Breaker, that's how fast he was, and huge. It was it was my moment where I felt like, aha, if I can do this with him, then I might be all right.
You might be okay. Yeah,
We
had
talked
to
a
be.
lot. He sat at our table with us when we were having dinner, and we talked a lot. And he talked about that series 7 you had. And I was never around him much, but he's just a phenomenal guy, really a great guy. And he has a lot of respect for TA and the business in general. And just it was fabulous spending time with him. Tito Santana was there. Tito and I go back a long ways, and he told some great stories, and he did a great job on the podcast. Did we put him on ours?
Yes, that interview will be up this week.
Okay, good.
Yeah, mm-hmm.
Yeah, he did. He's a great guy, another outstanding guy who really deserved to be on that Hall of Fame.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, man. Like just so much good stuff. And it's like to think too. But I remember hearing a story that Tito, they were going to put the WWE title on Tito actually, and around I think '93 when he came back or something. But then they changed it because they were going over in Spain and stuff like that apparently, and they were kind of really building to him, and that just never happened because I think they pivoted to Bret Hart or something at that juncture or something. So
he'd have been a great champion,
wouldn't he? Been?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Such a good baby face and stuff like that. I remember
just big, raw bone, athletic, and explosive excitement. You know, when he got on the mic, you know, I told him Arriba.
Arriba.
I mean, he was he had a lot of charisma.
Yeah, he really does. Still does. Just a great guy. Really.
I remember I first getting hooked on him because I remember renting one of the older wrestling videos from the video store that I was at, and it was like from 80 something, and he was tagging with Bruno up against I think Piper and Adrian Adonis or something like that. He was his tag team partner. I was like, that's a cool combo right there, is Tito and Bruno.
Oh yeah, that'd be a good match.
Yeah, heck yeah. Darren Staley, our One True Sport member, said, I was at match 7 at the old Charlotte Coliseum. How about that?
Ooh.
Man.
Yeah, that was some stuff there. Yeah, we had Crusher out there and Ivan and Nikita. And the craziest thing was the finish, they were all involved in the finish. And he hits me with the chain. They throw him the chain, he hits me with it. When he throws it down, the weight of the chain as it went out made the chain, it slithered out like a snake. And like literally it was just carried itself out of the ring. So when the referee turned around, there was no chain. But you couldn't have planned it. It just was like the timing was just absolutely perfect. And he had some good heat.
Man,
Power Town should do you and Nikita in the Series 7 in the year.
I'd be all for that.
Yeah, I know a guy. I know a guy
somebody?
That might be in the future.
Good. Let's hope so.
Something to think about there. Well, we got some good questions in the chat here. Let's Robert, pop a couple up here. We'll get dealer's choice there, Robert. Whatever you want to start off with, we can go with. Let's see. Here, I'll throw one up here real quick. Here we go. Oh, Kyle Easton, is TNA going to get a Series 2 Magnum? Can you disclose anything, or do you know?
It is in development, and it is in the pipeline.
How about that? Very exciting. Oh man! And guys, if you saw the first series, they were amazing. Some Jordan Grace, you had Eddie Edwards, you had Moose, you had oh my gosh, Josh Alexander. Attention to detail is amazing. Can't wait for Series 2. And
hey, I've got a question for you on TNA, because this came up the other day. Somebody was telling me that TNA is now being run by WWE.
So they have a crossover. So what they're doing is a collaboration together. And so some of their stars are going over there to wrestle under the NXT brand, and vice versa. Some NXT stars are going over to TNA to wrestle on their shows too. So example is Joe Hendry is the real big star right now. He's a big factor on NXT. They just had a big segment with him last night on their show. And but there's been several others, like Jordan Grace obviously wrestled there. But then William Regal's son, Charlie Dempsey, wrestled over on TNA too, I believe at Slammiversary. So they've had a pretty neat connection going on. It's a big benefit for both TNA, and I think it elevates the NXT product too. It's been pretty cool to see that. Magnum, have you caught any of that, the crossover there?
I knew that it was going on. I haven't seen it, but I think we're going to see a lot more of it because, again, it's something, one of those things that is good for business. It's good for both sides of the house, and it's and it's a kind of a safe collaboration for them. It's not like TNA is ever going to step on their toes,
right?
Or anything like that. So I think it's a good, healthy thing for both organizations, and TNA, puts on has been putting on quality matches in the ring. I mean, the quality of their in-ring work is spectacular. My only thing that I've ever had about TNA was one, just being on kind of an obscure network in terms of people being totally familiar with the Axis network and all that. But and the fact that they work smaller venues, but to their credit, it always shoots good. It always looks good, and so kudos to them. That they've got that going on, and they've maintained good quality product even with all the changes happening in the company in the last year. And I want to see them be ultimately successful, of course.
Right. They're like the promotion too. So many times I thought was dead in the water, and here it's like they come back, and it just seems so rejuvenated now. And even a little bit before, they made the collaboration with WWE, and now this has even elevated it even more. And like it's kind of neat to see that, kind of this whole universe of pro wrestling kind of connecting with one another, and the doors kind of being a little bit more open to ideas and creative freedom, but also opportunities for wrestlers too. It's pretty neat to kind of see that.
Sure.
Yes. Also, before we get another questions, and we should talk a little SummerSlam since we're live here. But I wanted to get your guys' thoughts. Greg, you talked about this a little bit before we went on the air. How do you feel about SummerSlam, the card itself, where they're kind of going with it? Does certain things get you excited about it, or are you kind of like?
I think. Well, what's carrying it is I think the McIntyre and CM Punk match.
Yeah.
Rollins is the referee. I mean, to me, that's carrying the whole card.
Yeah.
Looking at the card, I'm a little shaky on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay? I mean, I don't, and maybe it's just me, because I mean they're selling out wherever they go.
Oh yeah.
Now they're going to have a big crowd in Cleveland without a doubt. They'll probably sell the joint out. But the last few weeks watching the matches, I haven't felt that they were giving the people what they wanted.
Mm-hmm.
If that sounds right. I mean, they're trying, but I mean, for some reason, to me, the talent's not meshing right, or they don't have that star power that they've had in the past.
I understand. I think that's a fair point in certain ways too, because they're missing Roman Reigns, who was their big, and obviously he was just on SmackDown and not Raw. But I think, and Cody Rhodes is over on SmackDown. And so it's like when you tune into Monday nights, it's been a big focus of Judgment Day, Damian Priest, and obviously so because he's the champ. And then these other elements building it up, and now the Wyatt Six is something new too that people can sink their teeth into. But it just feels like, hey, we're getting there, but man, it's still there's still that lingering hangover a little bit, I think, from WrestleMania.
I think that's a little hangover. I mean, still, the Uso. I mean, he's hot as a pistol.
Yeah.
Of course, Gunther to me is,
Gunther's another level.
He chopped poor Uso the other night. He was bleeding from the neck.
Oh my gosh, yeah, Finn Balor there.
Finn Balor looked like he'd been through a war.
Yeah. Holy balls! Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
No, he's nice, solid. I mean, I think it feels like they're in a little bit of a rebuilding deal. They've got their main events in there, but now they got to get that other part coming up, I feel.
Yes.
And of course, they got Tiffany Stratton over on
She's got the briefcase, baby.
SmackDown. Yeah, she's got the briefcase. It's been broken up a little bit, but she's come along.
What about the Liv Morgan, Rhea Ripley love triangle thing? With
what do you think of that, Greg?
Well, I'd like to get in the middle of the two of them.
No. Talk about Dom and the whole
Me
deal.
Too. I think Magnum, I would too.
It's just I mean, just my observations.
Yeah,
I'll tell you that Ripley, she is man. I tell you, she's an athlete.
My goodness,
I wouldn't want to mess with her. And I mean, they've got a good thing going.
It's entertaining. Magnum, what do you think of that aspect, the love triangle, and like Liv being like this kind of psycho? What's the name? That's that movie, the Fatal Attraction vibes to her a little bit.
I think TA can talk about that. She was involved in more of those triangles than I was.
Oh, I was involved in the on-screen ones. Your triangles were all like off-screen. But anyway, the on-screen twist. I mean, there's great chemistry in that whole piece of it, and you got Ashley in the wings. They've been showing her back at the Performance Center, bouncing around the ring. So it's only a matter of time before she's thrown back in the equation. And the whole women's thing. But I mean, you need that daggone soap opera thing going on. And I mean, I think there's a lot more squeeze in that thing than they've completely played out yet. I mean, Nia Jax is a tremendous heel, and she's she is one of the most. I mean, leans into it, lays into it, doesn't ever hold back. She owns it, lives it, breathes it, and is just a top notch heel. And I don't know if they're looking at moving the title back to her, and then what's going to happen with Ashley coming back in the mix. I don't know about the tag team deal, with Jade, whether that thing Bianca Belair that they put the titles back on them, how that spins around. But I mean, that women's division has just got the potential to do so many intriguing things from a storyline perspective. It just plays well to television.
Yeah.
And then you take like the whole Wyatt thing.
Yeah.
That's just wild card, crazy little thing that they've got playing in the background that is so weird because it's so surreal, and they're supposed to be baby faces, yet it's so dark and twisted up deal. I mean, they could be doing the things that they do to baby faces instead of heels, and just switch that thing right around. They could go. I think it could get dark and twisted as they want, but I think they've got all kinds of tools in the bag. It just depends on what they want to build with it. Especially with the Netflix thing marching at us like it's only a matter of months before we see what's going to happen on that in that game.
Yeah.
Well, I'd say that ladies division there is phenomenal. I mean, both shows unbelievable. I mean, they've got some great ladies talent there.
The other show I was producing today, that was a question that was asked: which brand has a better women's roster on it, SmackDown or Raw? And it took me a little bit to think about it, because you could really flip the coin either way. But I went with SmackDown because you think about the athletes on there, from Bianca, then you have Charlotte in the wings there coming back. You also have the look of Jade Cargill. You have Nia Jax, which we mentioned. Tiffany, obviously. So it's yeah, you're welcome. And so it's like, but you could really go either way, because we mentioned Rhea Ripley and how big of a star she is. So it's what's the term? It's almost a blessing of overabundance or whatever it is.
Really. Yeah, they've got both shows are loaded.
Right.
They really are.
Pretty cool to see.
Yeah.
Well, wanted to get your guys' thoughts too regarding The Intercontinental Championship match. We talked about Sami Zayn off air. We talked about Braun Breaker a little bit, but I thought you guys gave some pretty good perspective. Magnum, give me thoughts on Sami Zayn and Braun Breaker together. And is this the moment Braun Breaker kind of seals the deal and becomes the Intercontinental Champion?
They've got to figure out what they're going to do with him, because he's in this precarious place where if they don't take care of him, they're going to lose that momentum. And the only way, if they were going to put the title on him, the only way it would work to me is if it was in such a way they kept him and Sammy in the feud, because he needs to work with Sammy like every night in a program. I mean, everywhere he can, to suck all that experience up and that timing and the things that Sammy brings to the game. He needs to work with elevated players as much as possible. But I think they're kind of in this weird little place. If he doesn't come out with the title, they're going to have to go back in a complete rebuilding mode.
Right.
With him. And it just depends on, because Sammy could certainly work around it, but I don't think the same could be said, flipping the coin the other way. I don't think the public's perception of him would be as easily rebuilt, and it's like he's like a mix of his dad and Bill Goldberg and so many guys that have kind of come out of that mold, and you really got to protect that commodity you have while you have it, because if you don't, then it'll just be another also-ran.
Yeah. Right. He's such a hot act right now. And, I think he's on the correct course here. I was really disappointed when he lost that Money in the Bank, because I was like, man, you don't know if you can get that momentum back. If that happens, he loses clean to Sammy. But it seems they've done a very good job at preserving him, I think, even a little bit during this time. And yeah, I think you're spot on. Whether he's working with Sam, who's amazing in the ring, or they pair him up with somebody else after, say, he wins the title and then he goes. I think it's very key to have him working with somebody that really, really knows what they're doing in the ring too a lot. So, which
he needs that guidance. Yeah,
I think they should bring you in, Greg, for his next feud.
Oh yeah, he can bust me in half in 2 seconds.
You could teach him a thing or two.
Thanks,
You're welcome. You're welcome. What else did I want to cover here? Let's get a couple of questions in here. Robert, pop something up. We'll go. Oh, little follow up. Any teases of who could be in Series 2 of TNA?
No.
I can't say anything. He gets mad at me all the time, so I'm just letting him talk.
That's it.
How did you get through Waterloo without just spilling your guts? How'd you do it?
Where at?
At Waterloo.
How did you get through it without?
All I did, I made sure the 6 figures I had there. That's all I talked about.
That's it.
And all these surprises coming up in the near future.
Okay.
And,
I'm proud of you.
And watch our podcast, because we will be doing a big deal on Andre the Giant coming up.
It's going to happen, guys.
Yep.
We'll give him the appropriate amount of time. Really, we were trying to today in the past couple episodes, but no, we'll get to Andre. We will get to Andre.
Yeah, well, everybody's asking about that. So
yeah, right. People are. Hey, when's the Andre one? Nick Afonte, 1992. If you had to save the AWA in the late 80s, Greg, what would you have done? What would you have done to kind of keep AWA cooking at that juncture?
Well, you really couldn't.
Yeah.
I mean, every time we got somebody hot,
they'd go.
Hulk Hogan. I mean, here's a prime example. We had Christmas week, and I've said this before, we had all sold out. He was in the main event, so we had him in 6-man tag team matches leading up to an April match with him on network TV on CBS against Bockwinkel.
Yeah.
And he had been in Japan. We did our Battle Royals in October, and then he left for Japan and never came back.
Yeah.
And I called him up. We were in St. Paul, sold out. He didn't show up. I said, Hulk, what are you doing? Well, I signed a deal with New York. And I said, well, hey, buddy, that's not the way you do business. I mean, finish it out. finish out Christmas week here, and then you can go.
Yeah.
But you've done all these promos there, and it killing us. Well, Vince was paying me more than I would make, and that was a bunch of BS. He was doing really well.
He was doing pretty good here.
Yeah, he didn't make that kind of money anywhere else like he made in the AWA. But he didn't show, and then it just kind of caught fire. And every time we get something going, McMahon would grab that guy, offer him so much money. I mean, my partner even walked out.
Yeah.
Left me alone in Winnipeg with the Road Warriors.
From a high flyer to a flying the killer bee.
I had to have poor Steve Olszanowski step in, and those guys just was not pretty.
They laid him in.
But, that's the way it was. I mean, there was, it was so hard because every time you planned something and we had stuff laid out, the guys wouldn't show up.
Man, yeah, that's tough.
So I don't know what you could have done. I guess if you had a ton of money to throw at everybody, maybe you'd have kept them on board, but they had the momentum going of what they were trying to do, and everybody wanted to jump on that ship.
Right.
Well, I'll tell you what you could have done.
Oh, here we go.
What he could have done is taken a page out of the Crockett handbook, where he was the first promoter to give guaranteed contracts in the industry.
Ooh.
And they weren't little piddly contracts. They were 6-figure contracts.
Mm-hmm.
And there were 6 of us that had them, and we were tied up for 3 years. And they incrementally increased each year. But that was the first time in the industry anything like that existed. To Greg's point, people came in, worked, and if they decided to go, they'd work a notice or whatever. But there was no guarantee of annual income of being X. And Crockett's concept was that he was going to make it lucrative enough to get people to be committed, buy houses, settle down, and be committed to the territories. But it was also done with the caveat where it was a carrot, and you still had incentive to perform because it wasn't every 2-week mailbox money. It was actually less than you would be making when you were selling out the venues. And even though it was good money, I was making 3 times what my guarantee was when we were running and gunning. Mm-hmm. So it was, that was the missing piece of the puzzle. To Greg's point, back in that era, you could get somebody hot, and if you didn't have them on paper or anything that really tied them to you, they were, people's ears were picked up.
Right.
And they said, "Oh, look at this guy. He's getting hot. What can we do with him?" And those alliances between the promoters that were golden at one time, where the NWA and the AWA promoters would talk back and forth, there was a little respect game going on at that point in time that went, quickly out the window when the
Vince was even going in after our TV network.
Yeah.
And offering them he'd pay to be on the TV and take our TV show off. I mean, it was a battle. I mean, the Crockett's, you had your territory, and the Crockett's, and you guys did fantastic. But our television market was, from Winnipeg to St. Louis to the West Coast, across Canada on TSN. And we had our rating in Minneapolis, only 60 minutes beat us. We had a 24 rating with a 64 share, meaning 64% of the TVs on were watching AWA. And through our whole market, we were in the low 20s overall, which was unheard of.
Yeah, that's
60
wild.
Minutes they had a 24 rating too, but they had a 65 share of the audience. We had 64. That was a combination of So he hit our TV market really hard, and we went to run a show in San Francisco, and we 6 weeks of TV we had going in. We didn't even know they pulled us off and put McMahon in.
Dang.
So when we went to the arena, this was going to be a huge crowd, there was hardly anybody there.
Man, that's nuts.
And then we found out that the guy, McMahon, paid them off, and our tapes were just laying there and never even played them.
Wow. Oh, man. What a gut shot that is.
Yeah, and he did that. Not only he did it in other markets too. So that's where we were getting hurt, and our talent was hearing about it. And the talent are going left and right. I don't even know if you threw money at them, they would have stayed TA. But we were running a little low on it because we were taking some pretty heavy beatings in these markets, which were huge for us.
So you think about how like valuable television is, especially nowadays too, where it becomes, people want live television. They want live, and that's such a hot commodity because, everything's going to streaming services and what have you. Yeah. So it's such a valuable asset today. And it's interesting, like Magnum, you mentioned earlier about, WWE going to Netflix. Like Netflix hasn't really dived into the live television aspect too much, and they were kind of adverse to it. I think at first they were like, "No, we're going to stay away from it." But here, lo and behold, they're seeing the writing on the wall when it comes to certain things, and be like, "We need live product on there." And you look at Amazon scooping up the NBA and all this stuff with TNT, like in the potential deal with AEW going down. It's become much, much more valuable having that live.
Wrestling has always been what Vern said, Americana.
Yeah.
People related to it. And it was made for TV.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
It really was.
Right.
And, they're still, look at the ratings they're getting, they're doing phenomenal.
Doing really.
Netflix paying them $5 billion. Oh, shit.
Yes.
If we'd had half of that, we could have hung on to all our talent.
Yeah, you could have definitely signed Hogan that way.
For sure.
This is not a question, but I thought this is funny. Darren Staley, member, he says, scarring childhood moment. Me and cousin Dave watching wrestling. Aunt Patty comes in, sees TA, and says, "Oh, that chest hair makes me so hot." And I was 11. Aunt Patty, not.
Open that shirt up right now. Let's see it. You got to show it to me. I've never seen it.
Oh my God! Oh, you want Magnum to unbutton?
Oh my gosh!
Holy
smokes! That is horrifying.
It's hot enough,
horrifying.
Darren, for me. I can't take any more.
It was a different time in television.
Magnum, were you the most sought after wrestler back then in the Crockett days in the territory?
Sought after. Define sought after.
Well, Patty did, obviously.
Yeah, Patty liked you.
In the 18 to 35 category.
You were better than me. Mine were the 50 to 65.
Greg got the Cougars.
Even when I was young.
Oh, they marketed me that way. Dusty, everything. It started with Bill Watts. Bill started that whole deal. And then, Crockett's, and when they got on the Superstation and, the whole deal, they couldn't have marqueed me up any more, America's heartthrob and the loneliest man in America. Just cliche as it all get out, but it just shows you what the power of television and suggestion and just the whole deal was. And it's funny too, because of the whole transition of, back then all television was advertising and a tease for us to get people to come out, to arenas. We wouldn't anymore give them a main event than, Man the Moon. Every once in a while, Flair would go out there and do something with us, or Dusty and I would jump out and do some kind of little tag match or some point angle, but you never gave them main event quality, matches on television, with a rare exception of when the Rock and Roll Express came in from Mid-South. We took the whole hour of TV and earmarked it for them against the Russians for the world title, and they went through the whole show and won the their debut, won the world tag team titles, and but when you did stuff like that, then it was really, really special, because that was just not the case. And I think it's so cool now that you see all that, and you see it with the with the instant replays and the slow-mos, and they make it like big time sports. And I think I told Greg, I've said this story a couple of times, that Now, I watched a WWE show live in person that I thought, it was like a C. It was say a C show. It wasn't a bad show, but it wasn't a great show. And I went home and watched it on TV, and it was like a 4-star AAA event. And it was because without hearing the commentating and seeing the zoom in shots and getting drawn into it with the camera angles, it's not even remotely the same as sitting there, where you're watching at the 50-yard line, in a building. It's not the same thing.
Right.
And, even with them popping and screaming and yelling, because you can't see it the same. You just can't enjoy the cinema of what's happening, especially in these huge buildings that they're in. You're so far away, you're looking at little ants down there or something. Can't hardly tell what's happening. But, but anyway, the TV, they made me into something to be alluring and to try to draw that crowd of people in, but something still they wanted guys to be able to relate to, being a tough guy. And I was checking a lot of boxes for them.
Yes, you definitely were. I think there was an image I put up of you for one of our episode graphics. You're like shirtless and you're like doing almost the Burt Reynolds Cosmopolitan pose, I think. And
I've seen that one too.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. Hey, they also say obviously.
I've got it on my wall.
Do you? Oh man. I think, hey, Magnum, maybe that's a Power Town one you should release. Is that one? Yeah, obviously you're the other ones, but you posing like that, I think, is the key. You put in the box.
Yeah, after we get hard-boiled Haggerty out there, then I'll worry about getting one. We got a couple other bugs in the wings. We need to take care of about Magnum reclining on a sofa or something.
On the sofa.
Hey, you know what? Let's ask our viewers out there. How would they like to see a action figure of Hard-Boiled Haggerty, Yukon Eric, Don Leo Jonathan?
Ooh, I'd like Don Leo Jonathan for sure.
Oh, he was. I watched a match on YouTube. My dad was wrestling him, and the guy was 6'7". My dad used to talk about him, what an athlete he was. I mean, he was Brody size, 270, 280, and he's doing drop kicks and flying head scissors. Unbelievable. And this is back in 1951 and 52.
That's crazy.
So
we got a good look too.
We've got a lot of those people that really started on the network TV. Their families on board. So I'd like to get people out there, their feelings on it. Would they like to see people like that on there?
Yeah, I think that'd be great.
I mean, these are the people that really built the industry to where it is today.
Hey, I wanted to ask you too. Did you ever work with Leo Burke or Tommy Martin? He was also known as
who?
Tommy Martin. He was also known as Tommy Martin, but he worked up in Calgary. He was Leo Burke.
I don't think I ever did.
Okay. He just passed away this past week, and Bret Hart credited him as like a top 5 worker he ever was in the ring with. And I was watching some of his stuff. Holy smokes, he was really good.
But it was a slower pace back then. It was more wrestling, but the arenas were full. And if you look on the old ones on the DuPont network, the people sitting in the audience all had suits on. The ladies were all dressed up, and they were sold out. But that was our whole goal with Power Town, to give the people the opportunity that really built this industry, from the 50s on up, and the people that didn't have that opportunity to make anything through merchandising or anything like that. So that's our goal with Power Town. And we've got 255 people on board. In the wings.
We got a lot of the wings happening.
We got a lot, and we got to make them all happy. And hopefully we'll be able to do it here soon.
Absolutely. Hey, so we're getting more ladies man talk here. Apparently, Aunt Patty.
Open that shirt up, TA. They're calling in.
Aunt Patty's still alive. He can slip a tag TA number if you want.
I'm a happily married man and dad of hundreds. I mean, dad of hundreds. And I hung that card up and retired it a long time ago.
Says you wouldn't want it anyways. For Aunt Patty. Eddie says, Eddie says Arn was my mom's crush only if she had known that Arn only looked 40 in 1984 when he was only 26.
That's the truth too.
He still looks the same though.
Still does. And
he
Brock,
looks 46 now.
Yeah. His son Brock looks like he's 40 now too. And he's only
I don't know how
26.
old Arn is, but he looks good.
I'm saying Arn's 26 still. How about that?
Okay, there you go.
Magnum, question for Magnum from Eddie. Magnum, do you think that you would have had a heel run in your career if it wasn't cut short?
It's hard to say, never, but I don't really foresee it because I was leaning hard into that hardcore heelish babyface type character.
Yeah.
It really would have lent itself for me to, have been, the attitude babyface kind of deal. And it just really wasn't my fit. And I didn't want to wrestle that long. Right. I mean, I didn't want to wrestle into I thought 35 was like too old to be, dancing around in your underwear in front of everybody. So I probably wouldn't have stayed in the game long enough to have explored the heel side, the dark side.
I don't think you'd have been in there that long. If you'd have just gotten in the ring with me, I could have made a heel out of you really quick.
Ooh.
Well, you probably could, because I can see I can make a lot of people feel sorry for you. Really.
This is the feud I want. I want a graphic novel of Greg versus Magnum TA now in the AWA. Write some fan fiction, guys. Not erotic fan fiction, but just fan fiction.
We'd have had a good match. Really good match.
It would have been great stuff. Oh, man. Greg, I keep saying, we've said this several times. You would have been a great heel, though.
Still am.
Yeah. You are. You're the heel of the show.
Well, shit. Hey, my partners never talked to me at Power Town. I blew up one time and haven't heard much from them. Thank God I got TA. I got to run everything through him.
I'm your spokesperson.
Yeah, nobody else will talk to me.
Magnum's
he's the PR guy. He's their what is it? The second.
I'm Henry Kissinger. I bridge all the gaps.
He bridges them all. He's got his hands full. Believe me.
You got the hands full there.
I keep saying, is there anything I can do to help? Nobody wants to talk to you though, Greg. So I just sit back here and keep signing people. I got about 5 more that want to get on board.
Wow, look at this comment here. Jacob Wildlar says, sorry if I mispronounced your last name there, Jacob. But he says, hi, Terry. As a fan of pro wrestling from the 80s, I'm really thankful that God spared you on that dark night in 1986. I hope you're living every day to the fullest from Chokzina, Poland.
Wow.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I don't ever take a day for granted. And 65 years old, I'm far busier than I ever imagined being at this station in my life. Greg Gagne pops up into my life and poof.
I really screwed it up.
What I thought
I could be the heel real easy for you. Yeah. I already am.
Yeah. Phone rings. Hey, Greg Gagne, remember me? And 3 years later.
Okay.
He does a heck of a job for Power Town.
He does.
Yeah, without him, we wouldn't be where we are today.
Hey, Doug, this is going to be the Carney and me. You hold on a second. When is Greg going to show us his AWA International Television belt? Greg,
right after we talk about Andre.
Yeah,
right when we talk about Andre.
I've got it upstairs.
Yeah. Greg, maybe bring it on the Q&A tonight. We can plug it that way.
Tonight?
Yeah, tonight when we do the live Q&A. Yeah, guys.
All right, I'll bring it on tonight.
Greg will be joining Marcus D'Angelo, my brother, my degenerate brother, and I for a Q&A tonight. He'll talk about his Hall of Fame. You guys can actually interact with Greg one-on-one live. Well, not one-on-one. We'll be there, so everybody will be there. So you have to ask. If you want to ask a question,
I'm not going to have TA there to help me. How am I going to
God.
make it through this thing?
Hot tag. No, Magnum's a busy man. We're gonna.
Did he do one yet?
Not yet. We're saving him for a good one. Sorry,
I'm there just to kick it off, huh? You're in the dump right now.
No, Greg, you're following up
to help get it up, and then he'll come in and be the savior for everything.
Well, thank God we have Magnum here now.
Thank God we got that.
No, look,
babyface coming in to make the save.
You're following up Dustin Rhodes. We had Dustin Rhodes last month, so this you're our.
How did he do? How's Dustin doing?
He's doing great. He's awesome.
You talk to him, say hello to him for me.
Yeah, I will definitely will. I'll make sure. Paul, he's the one who contacted my other co-host,
Okay.
Paul. So it's gonna be a fun one though tonight. You get to deal with my idiot brother and me, so it should be a fun one, Greg.
How's Paul doing?
Paul's doing good. Paul
He's a
Bromwell.
merchandising genius.
He's the mill. He's the big. He's like the Magnum of all of us. Me and Marcus, we're just the visual kind of people. We're this eye candy, if you will.
Well, TA and I are waiting. We're waiting.
We're waiting. Speaking of guys, if you like what you're seeing here and you want to represent Magnum or Greg, we'll start off with Greg here. I think I have Greg's up here. Boom! Look at these new shirts we got. Can't zoom in.
Laura, come here, quick.
Nice.
Laura,
What?
come here, quick.
Take a look, Laura.
Hurry.
We got some. Well, I'm gonna make sure you guys get a couple.
What do you think of the shirts?
Yeah,
That's nice.
we got Greg Gagne, Heart of a Champion, then the
Oh.
High Flyer. That's the
Yes.
signature shirt there, and then High Flyers with Magnum and Jim Brunzell too, an old logo that I happened to get from a friend
Oh,
of.
these look great.
And yeah, then you get the tank top too. So.
That was Laura sticking her tag.
Laura, yeah, we'll have to get you. We'll hook
Hi.
you guys up with some. What's up, Laura?
You can only see you from the neck down.
Yeah. No, I love them. I think they look great.
They're going to be very cool.
There she is.
Yes. Then we have Magnum too. We got to get. I'll show you
Yep.
the Magnum ones too. Here we go. Boom, boom. It's loading on.
All right.
But guys, you can go to
Hi.
12sport.com and order yours right now. And then here's Magnum. We got several Magnum ones. America's Team and Dusty.
they look good.
One. We got a Harley one. We also have a hat. I want to try to see
Good.
the hat. So
Good. I'm all about hats.
yeah, hats are great. We got to get Greg a hat too. So that'll be next in line.
Yeah, pretty quick. It's all going. I'm going to look like you pretty
Oh,
soon.
good. Do you have a picture of the hat, Stomp?
Yeah, I'm about to pull up a Magnum's hat here in a second.
Oh,
I'm doing
okay.
a screenshot here.
Okay.
But we'll make Greg a hat too. But guys, if
Who
you
wants
like,
a Magnum hat?
Ooh,
That's all she talks
Yes,
about.
I do.
Yeah, here
Magnum
I
hat.
am again.
We'll get her. I'm loading up the graphic right now, but I'm really happy with it. This is like an old school logo too that we have. And it looks great on we got a black denim hat.
Oh.
Magnum.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Looks great.
Okay.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah,
Love the colors too.
absolutely. It's good. It's pretty
Yes.
sweet. Well, I'm gonna make a T-shirt of that one too, Magnum. That logo. So
Yeah, that's
Okay,
cool.
good
Yeah, that's the
job.
old the Crockett's came up with that logo back in the day.
heck yeah. So we'll have to get that cooked. Magnum, you also have to send me the thing you were talking about. The one graphic you have of the beer drinking thing. I think it was.
Oh yeah. The leader of the pack.
Yes, leader of the pack.
Yes. Yeah,
You send me that, I'll make
I'll have
sure.
to give you some pictures of that. That's
I'll make a shirt for that for sure.
yeah. Gerald Briscoe will pop if we do something with that. He will go absolutely bazooty.
Well, yeah, we'll have to definitely make you one.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
No doubt.
We should create a beer.
I know, right?
Everybody else says.
What kind of beer would we get? Would it be a light beer? Would we do? Does anybody like hoppy beer? I'm not a
It'd
big
be
hoppy
called
Light beer.
Magnum TA and Gags.
in gags.
That's my nickname.
Yeah, Mag and Gag just doesn't sound just right.
That sounds pretty
Magnum
good.
TA.
I think we can come up with something a little better.
Yeah,
That'd be a good beer can, though. Hey, geez.
Beer of
They
the
buy it
box.
just for the name.
That's it.
Yeah.
We'll think of something good.
yeah, we got to give that some thought because that would be good. I don't want Steve Austin to have the only beer going for.
Oh, I know. Oh, Hogan's got one now.
Hogan's got one now too. I haven't tried the Hogan one. I've tried Steve's and that's awesome. Steve's is good.
Austin's is good.
Austin's is good. I had his. I think I've had both his IPA and his light beer. The light beer is really good. The lager is good.
How's it selling? You know.
I think he's doing great because I was able to buy it in Pittsburgh. So I think it's
In the store in Pittsburgh.
yeah. Like there's a Liberty beer right in Bloomfield here, and I went there.
Very cool.
Yeah, and I got it. It was good stuff. So
Nice.
guys, what's good stuff here is the Powertown figures Series 2 out now, and what a lineup they've got. You guys can go to powertownwrestling.com. Look at these ones. We got Kamala, we've got Dory Funk Jr., we've got my favorite Wahoo McDaniel, we got Junkyard Dog, man, that's a great one too. And then we got Jack Briscoe as well as Medusa too. I don't have a graphic up for her, but maybe I should.
Where did Medusa go?
She'll be here. She'll be
She'll
here.
She'll be smiling.
That's the yep, exactly. So, guys, go to powertownwrestling.com. You can scan that QR code you see right there and go directly there. Pre-order yours right now. Man, geez, that Wahoo's awesome. I want to get one of those.
He's selling like crazy, too.
Are they? I believe it.
Wahoo's doing really well.
I bet. Football season's just around the bend, too, and he's a New York Jet. So I'm going to get myself a Wahoo jersey, Jets jersey. Maybe I'll do that.
Get yourself a Wahoo tomahawk.
Oh, I can do it. I can do it for sure. Oh man, you guys got me.
He was giving Gunther a run for his money.
Oh God, yeah.
Could you imagine that throwdown?
Oh, that'd be a great one, wouldn't it?
Man,
yeah.
That's
and
going.
Johnny Valentine, throw him in there, and they could just all kill each other.
Yeah. Who can chop the hardest? Who's going to knock who out first? A chop match. That's all they have.
Boy. Oh, my gosh. My chest is hurting just thinking about it.
Oh.
That's good. It's going to turn red just thinking about it, too.
Oh, God. Wahoo would cave your chest in.
Good. I would not survive.
He was a tough son of a gun. God almighty. Did I tell you when we were playing golf with him one day?
No. Oh, yes.
Did I tell that story already?
Because who almost shot him? We almost shot him, right?
Well, no, that was the hunting trip.
Okay.
This was where golfing with him. He was a big golfer, and he got out in front of us, my cousin and myself, and it was a longer par 5, and he had to hit a wood to the green, and he hit this 3-wood. He hit it a line drive, and while he was up a ways, hit him right in the side. Oh. And you could hear it way back. We were 50, 40 yards back from him. Wow! He goes like this, about that long. Then he goes and hits his ball. He had a welt on him like that. It was black. He'd get in the ring. He had to get his tights to try to cover it up. It was like that. It was there for about a month.
I tell you what, you guys are some tough SOBs.
Oh, God.
You get just thinking.
Wahoo, he was a character. God almighty. Man. We had him and Ray Stevens at the same time.
Oh, the crippler. Now, he was the one that shot at Wahoo or shot the gun during the hunting trip?
Yeah, it was Ray that shot Wahoo.
Ray shot Wahoo. Man.
Hit him right in the forehead.
Did Wahoo
one baby hit him right in the forehead, and his feet went straight up in the air, and he got up and he got his gun. I'm going to kill you, Stevens. And Stevens was laughing, and the guys are just the field emptied. 30 guys were running. Pheasants were flying everywhere.
I believe it. Magnum, what were you going to say? What were you asking, Magnum?
No, I think Wahoo shot Slater in the leg with a 9mm in Atlanta by accident. Shot it, and I mean, for real.
Really?
Shot Dick Slater.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Boys used to carry. Yeah, they used to carry. People like that didn't need to carry guns. That just really was.
That was just like putting a hat on a hat, basically.
Yeah. It's not a great idea.
No.
No.
My goodness. Man, what wild times. Hey, okay, guys, I think somebody's asking, what time is the Greg Gagne thing tonight? So take a look, guys. Boom, live Q&A tonight. 2024 Hall of Famer. Wednesday, July 31st at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's 7 Central's time for Greg. But
okay.
Yeah.
So you're gonna give me let me get back on the computer here.
I'll give you the link. I'll give Laura.
You'll give me the link.
I'll send you the link via Laura. Right. It'll be a Zoom call. It'll be a
Zoom call. Are you gonna do it on this computer, Laura's?
Yeah, you can do it on.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure you.
It's easier. That one of mine goes in and out.
Yeah, we'll get you. It'll be a fun one tonight.
All right.
Magnum, is there anything else you want to plug in regards to Power Town or anything else that get the word out about it?
No, we got something strong coming, but it's still a little ways out from sharing it with the masses.
Well, let me share it with you.
Yeah, Greg, why don't you spoil everything for everyone?
He gets so pissed off at me all the time. You're not supposed to say that.
Greg, you would get whacked if you were in the mafia.
Oh, God. I can't get too close to him.
Yeah, I need a little hook. I can have it underneath the table where I can like give them a little yank.
You need what you need is like a buzzer thing or something, like buzzer.
Well, you got to give those.
There you go. That'll work.
You got to give those little teasers, you know.
Gotta get.
We've got some really great. Everything's been really great so far, but we got some stuff that can blow people away.
You guys,
Everything we do is going to blow them away.
Yeah, you will not believe what they have lined up. It's exciting.
Tell all your friends about Powertown.
Mm-hmm. PowertownWrestling.com. Man, good stuff, guys. This was good stuff. I'm glad we're back in the mix. I'll be in SummerSlam, or not in SummerSlam. I won't be a part of the matches, but I will be covering SummerSlam for One True Sport. We'll be getting some interviews. If I can, I'm hoping, fingers crossed, Greg, I get to interview Tiffany, and I'll ask.
Well, you want me to send her a note?
Send her a note. Say, hey, there's a guy Dominic around. I said hi to her when I saw her at WrestleMania, and I just told her in passing real quick. I was like, I do the podcast with Greg. She's like, oh, tell him I said hi. And I was like, I will.
Okay, I'll tell her you're going to be there.
Let her know I'll be there. She won't know me
right.
Sunday. But
Good enough. We'll do, Dom.
yeah, sounds good. Hey, this has been fun, guys. I'm happy. Such a fun moment of the week for me to do this with both of you guys, and we're going to get the word out about this podcast. Guys, help us get the word out about it too. Be sure to tell your friends, tell your enemies. Go to onetruesport.com, fourhorsemannetwork.com. You can catch the episodes there as well. But another good one in the books right here. We'll get to Andre next.
You know what everybody was talking about down in Waterloo was our podcast. Everybody in Waterloo was talking about it. Yeah. So, I mean, people better jump on board. They say it's one of the better wrestling ones out there.
I believe it. Because it is, guys.
It is. Because TA makes it.
It's boss. We're with the boss, guys.
We got the boss.
And he gives you straight talk.
The straight talk.
Straight talk.
But he won't give any straight talk about Powertown and the big announcement that's coming up.
My lips sealed. Hey, we'll see you next week here on Straight Talk with the Boss, Magnum TA and Greg Gagne.
Take care, guys.
See you guys.